Try and feel the muscles. The muscle one side is contracting. That's turning you and stretching the muscles the other side. And then contract the muscles that have stretched. Tipping the stick, feeling the muscles. And now just dislocating. So the further apart you have the hands on the stick, the easier it will be. And now pulling the stick, gripping it and trying to pull it apart. So one hand pulling away from the other. And twist it at the same time. So and then just pushing the stick, pushing the hands towards each other. Pulling again. And pushing again. Okay, so let's stand up. Let's just start with this simple qigong. Reaching out and washing the energy down through the body. The arms reach out, the hands bring this energy down the body. Then at the sacrum, it splits down the two legs. Now just into riding horse. And just keep that feeling, something washing down through the body. So if you have something washing down, then there must be something thrusting up to create the balance, the central equilibrium. This is what we want to feel. We want to feel the movement at the heart of the stillness. So when I create a system that is physically still, I want to feel the movement within it so that it doesn't freeze and become solid and set. And now splitting the body in two, left and right. Now let's try the pulling the rope exercise. Just reaching out and pulling towards you. Now I've split the body into a left and a right, and they're doing opposite things. The arm reaches forwards, the hand opens, and the fingers stretch out. And as soon as I start going the other way, I make a fist, like I grab something. So when the arm straightens, the fingers straighten. When the arm starts to bend, the fingers bend. As you extend the arm and the fingers, the hand twists. The palm is facing out now, so the little finger is on top. So the feeling is that the little finger is the most active finger. And that's the first one that starts bending. And then I want to make sure that the same activity that's in the arm and the hand is in the leg and the foot on that side. So as my hand reaches forwards and the fingers straighten, so my leg is straightening and my toes are reaching out. And as soon as I pull back, the little finger starts curling, and so does the little toe. The little toe is catching the ground, and the little finger would be catching the rope that I'm pulling. You just let the head go with the turn. So you're almost looking behind yourself when you get to the maximum reach. And we want to feel the three phases in the action of the leg. As my hand reaches, so my leg straightens and the toes reach. So that's the first phase. And then my hand grabs the rope, my toes curl and grip the ground, my leg starts bending to pull. That's the second phase. And then as I come into the leg and for the other hand to reach, it becomes the support. So there's three phases: reaching, pulling, and supporting. Reaching, pulling, and supporting. To feel that in the leg. My leg straightens, the toes reach, the leg bends, the toes grip, and then I bring the weight into that leg and the leg supports me. Now we want to feel the muscles. It would be much better if we actually had a rope that we were pulling so that we could really feel the muscles. So all the muscles down here have to kick in to pull that elbow back towards the hip. Imagine if you're like in a tug of war, you know, the way they really lean back, they get their body weight into it as well. So there'd be that sense. If I was really pulling something strongly, I would lean back. So reach, pull, and settle in the leg. Reach, pull, settle in the leg. And then just back into riding horse. We've got the sinking, which we established with this exercise. We've got the pushing up through that, which also establishes from the washing down exercise. And now here we've got this sense of reaching forwards. And we've also got this sense of really just pulling my hip, my elbow down into my hip. So we've got a forwards and we've got a back as well as the up and the down, resonating in our energy. Now let's bring the feet up a little bit. Still keep them bent. And now just doing the same exercise as the pulling the rope, but now up and down. So reaching up like you're the bell ringer. And I pull. I reach up and I pull. So you really turn away from the arm. You really get a sense that it's come out of your back. It's come away from the spine and reached up. So the more I can turn my head away from it, the further I'll be able to get up there. And again, it's difficult. So I really have to put my body weight into this pull. And then just bring the mind to the legs. Same three phases. As I reach with the hand, this leg is also extending, toes are extending. And as I grip and start pulling, this is starting to bend to pull me into it. And then I settle into it, which allows the other hand to release upwards. Feel the active phase in the arm is really the pulling phase. After you've reached, this would be the difficult bit that you'd really have to put your back into. So that should be the active phase in the leg as well. So my leg is bending to pull this down. And then it effectively straightens to support me so that I don't just fall down. Reach, pull, support, reach, pull, support. Good. And now let's just stand again. Try a little bit of this one again. Funneling down my spine. And then it reaches out through the sacrum and down each leg. Just allow it to start turning a little bit. It will want to. So the two hands don't really want to be completely together. One wants to kick in and then the other. And then get them completely out of phase. Effectively, all three exercises that we've done are now combined. You're reaching forwards, but you're also reaching up. And there's also a sense that you're bringing the energy down the spine. but just before this hand comes up, it has to turn over. So it's coming down like this, and then it has to turn over before it comes up. So if we make a meal of that turning over, it just becomes the bottom of the figure of 8. So this is just the figure of 8 exercise effectively. So now I'm just really expanding the bottom, because it's the bottom of the figure of 8 that's in my legs. That's the bit that's important to me. Just enjoy the spine tipping and turning. Try and keep your mind with the bottom of the figure of 8 rather than the top, the part that's reaching down the leg and into the ground. Otherwise, the legs will push you up and it will all become top heavy. And then just back to riding horse. Again, just feel that flow down. It's coming down my spine, and then it splits at the sacrum. And now let's just try a bit of the breathing from the ground. So I'm bringing the ground up and then down. Just getting used to bending the legs. And if we can, we'd like to get the hamstrings kicking in. In the same way that when I bring my hands up like this, my biceps here are working to bend the arms. I want to feel my hamstrings working to bend my legs as I go down. So as my arms bend, my elbows become dominant. They stick out. And as my legs bend, my knees stick out. So remember, the reason people get it wrong, generally, is not because it's difficult, but because it's too easy. So we're trying all the time to feel the muscles that would have to kick in if it was a lot more difficult. Good. And then just back to riding horse. And feel the flow down. So we feel the flow down. You get to feel that by just relaxing the legs right to the point where if you relax them just a little bit more, they would collapse. And then you get a sense of a flow downwards through the body, which the legs are no longer blocking. You also get the sense of something having to push up from the ground. So you're not just using my legs to hold a situation. I'm using my legs to generate an upward flow. Something is squeezing and oozing up through my body, and that is balancing the downward of gravity. That's central equilibrium. And the secret, of course, is the mind. If I can keep my mind with it, then I have a chance of it opening up for me. Now let's just try the two circles. This is the Tai Chi machine, really. All the postures can be reduced to this. This is just a mild version of all the exercises we've done, all the reaching and the pulling exercises. We've just made it very circular. The body's working the same way, especially the legs. So my leg is extending, then my leg starts pulling, and then it supports me so the other one can extend. What I'm trying to do in this exercise is just keep the energy going around the circles. It wants to break out and shoot off as a tangent all the time. And I'm just controlling it. I'm just keeping it rotating. Same exercise, but with 1 foot forward. So in bow and arrow. And just feel the 2 legs. I'm trying to pretty much stay in the middle. But my legs are very active in order to produce the turns, but also to get the 3 phases in each leg. The extending, the gripping, and supporting. Extending, gripping, supporting. Now let's just try roll back. So from ward off right. So my left hand, remember, is the active one. So that's the one I'm going to be making is a circle with. It's just this exercise. So I reach forwards. I yield this arm, the rollback arm comes in, that's making a circle. And then I come in for press. Very simple. So I make a circle with my left arm. This is a circle, but it's the attack with the elbow. And then I turn back. Circle with my left. Circle with my right. Circle with my left, which becomes the press. Circle with the left. Circle with the right. Circle with the left, and press. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now let's try with the other foot forwards. First of all, just circling it a few times. What I want to do is feel my waist. I want to feel the muscles in the region just above the hips. So what I want to get out of now is simply moving my hips. So when we're turning, trying to turn the shoulders and the hips together, I'm very much just turning from my hips. Now I need to get movement into my arms from my legs. And for that, I need the muscles around here, the muscles between the hips and the shoulders in the torso. When you get those involved, it's very much like one set is fighting another set. There's like a struggle going on all the time. Almost like you're a little bit out of phase. You're trying to turn one way and another part of you is trying to turn the other. So you start to get this feeling of tearing. You talk about it a lot in Tai Chi, tearing silk. One side of your body working against the other. So you're imposing isometrics all the time. And now let's try the push on this side. So after we've done the roll back and the press. So remember in the form, we simply move back, separating the hands, and then I move forwards to push. Yeah, so when we do the form, we're just trying to get as little movement in the upper body as possible. So there's none of this. There's no arm action. Now we just want to get this exercise into it. It's very similar to the rollback, really. Make a circle with my backhand, my right hand, circle, and then as I go back, I push with my left hand, and that becomes the beginning of the circle, but it's yield, and I push with the right hand. So it's basically 1, 2, 3. But we just want to feel the pushes within it. So someone's attacking with their, doesn't really matter, but normally their opposite hand. So if I'm going to yield with my right, they're attacking with their left. So I reach out and I scoop it out of the way. And as I sink back into my back foot, I push. And then this just becomes the entering of its yield. So now someone is attacking me with their right. So again, I scoop it out of the way by making a circle, and I push with my right. Circling with your right hand, and then pushing with your left. Circling with your left hand, pushing with the right. And then again, circle and push, circle and push. Circle, push, circle, push. And now let's try it from ward off left, but it's like ward off right version. And we'll do both of those postures. So now again, I'm doing the same yield with my right hand, but to their right. So I reach and I circle. Now my left hand is attacking, so that's circling. And then this back hand is now just continuing with its circle and coming forwards to press. And now the push. Yield and push. Yield and push. Let's try it again from ward off. Yield, attack, yielding. So this here, the roll, once you finish the roll back, remember the application is someone has tried to slip out of your rollback and they're retreating. So what you would do is just yield to that. You'd go with it. This hand would come down and just stick to them so that as they start retreat, they take you forwards with them. So I circle, I continue the circle with my left hand, my right hand circles, and I press. And now pushing. Yield, push, yield, and push. This exercise all the way through, but it doesn't have to remain on this flat plane. So if I roll back the way we do it in the form, I yield here, and then this attacks, and this continues its circle, but it continues the circle on this plane. But it's at the same circle, I've just tipped it around. So let's try that. So one, this reaches forward. Now this is doing a circle like this. It doesn't have to do a flat one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 1, 2, and 3. And now let's just try a little bit of that rooting exercise, because this one's important. Just the heel coming up. I really want to feel the heel. This mysterious thing called a root that most people don't have, despite the years of Tai Chi. We're so used to settling on the ground and gaining some sort of stability so that we can lift the foot and step. The root is part of your energy and mind that actually penetrates into the ground from the heel. So I have to feel the heel. The heel digs down and the other heel can then come up. So it's really active here. There's a lot of movement in my hips. So something in me digs, that I inject into the ground. It's a very different feeling to settling on the ground. I'm injecting into the ground to tap some energy up. I would settle onto the ground to gain some stability. So it's quite different, a different use of the mind, different requirements. And it's just central equilibrium, really. So I'm sinking into the leg. So there's a sense of my leg bending to give me a feeling of getting lower. But the leg must also be straightening, because if I just allowed it to bend as much as it wanted, I would fall down because my body weight is coming into it. So the leg is bending in order to take me down, but it's also straightening to support me. Now, what I don't want is for that straightening to bring me up. So what I do, I allow that straightening to instead inject into the ground. So my leg is bending to take my body down, but at the same time, my leg is trying to straighten, and that's pressing the heel down into the ground. So it's quite subtle, but it's just the consequence of keeping the system fluid, not letting it freeze. My leg is bending, and it's also having to straighten. because at some point I need to stop moving. I want that straightening not to bring my body up, but to actually break through the surface of the ground and go down. And then just a little bit stepping backwards and forwards so that my root goes down. I put this foot down, and now as I transfer the weight, as I swap the weight around, the front root penetrates and the back root can then come off the ground. So the feeling is I always have a complete root in the ground, but only one. So I'm sinking into this root, this one comes up, and then I step, and then now as I transfer the weight, this goes down and this comes up. So this sense of a root that we're working on, really it's a consequence of the quietness of my mind. If my mind is quiet and I can really see that needle going down, then the root will develop. My mind is noisy, then I'll just need to come onto this large foot in the hope that it will support me. This is one of those exercises you need to keep going a long time so that you can just settle into it. So let's just bring it back. Let's just finish with a little bit of this one again. And then just keep it going, but just bring the foot speed up. And then just let it settle. And again, with this sense of oscillating between the two sides. So my two roots are playing with each other. As one goes down, the other's coming up. So I bring my weight into the foot, not just to spread out and get a stable support, but also to extend down through this little hole in my heel.